This is Ed Brayton reporting for Patheos from the Reason Rally in Washington, D.C. The 4 days of events surrounding the Reason Rally began on Thursday, with the first of 2 lobby days put on by the Secular Coalition for America. Tomorrow we'll have a full report on those lobby days, but on Thursday we caught up with Michael Dodora of the Center for Inquiry's Office of Public Policy and with Andrew Seidel, Senior Counsel for the Freedom from Religion Foundation, and we asked them about some of the things they're working on politically and legally.
And so I'm chair of what is called the United Nations NGO, or Non-Governmental Organizations Committee on Freedom of Religion or Belief, which for all intents and purposes is a civil society group at the UN of non-governmental organizations which band together to protect, or at least try to protect, freedom of religion or belief. Now, this is a diverse committee of Jewish groups, Christian groups, Baha'i groups, Muslim groups, and a growing number of atheist and secular groups. And what this committee tries to do is pool its resources as non-governmental organizations, put on events at UN headquarters, and meet directly with delegations from member states on issues of shared concern. So, for example, some of the things that we'll be doing in the next couple of months will be an event at the UN headquarters sponsored by a member state to be determined on terrorism right now in Nigeria. And that will be an effort to really discuss the impact of terrorism in Nigeria, especially on freedom of religion, belief, and expression. But also we're going to be requesting meetings with a number of delegations at the UN in the lead up to the General Assembly in September to just talk about general freedom of religion issues that we care about collectively as a group. And so there are a lot of different ways that the Center for Inquiry works its way through the UN system to try to promote its values, and it's very important for us that we actually work through the system with other non-governmental organizations. We find that the more people you can put together on these issues, the more chance you have of success.
So the House of Representatives, Congress, has 2 chaplains on staff. Their offices have a budget of about $800,000. The House chaplain has 2 assistants, the Senate chaplain has 3 assistants, and the House chaplain's salary is $172,500. His assistants make $80,000+ and $90,000+ each year. And they have one job. Their sole job under the House rules is to say the opening prayer when they have their sessions. That's it. That's all they have to do. And 40% of those prayers are given by guest chaplains. So these are people who congressmen and congresswomen invite in from their districts to, instead of having a chaplain open prayer, have these pastors open the prayer. And Dan Barker, FFRF's co-president, asked to be one of those guest chaplains. And the House chaplain refused to allow Dan to give a prayer because he's an atheist. And that's a big problem under the recent Supreme Court decision, Town of Greece versus Galloway, which says that government prayer is allowed so long as the process is open to anybody, including a layperson or an atheist. And that's the language the Supreme Court uses, including an atheist. So Dan really ought to be able to give this secular invocation. But the chaplain has said, no, you can't do it, and we've sued him. So this is actually the Port Natchez cross, and this wasn't actually a lawsuit yet. We just wrote a letter to the city explaining, and this is how we start everything. We like to educate first and say, hey, what you're doing is wrong, please come into line with the law. And if they don't, then we start looking at lawsuits as a possibility. And in Port Natchez, they had a cross in a public park, and we explained to them that was wrong, and their solution was to sell off the 10 by 10 foot plot around the cross to a local church for $100. And when we found out about that, we actually offered the city $2,000 for that same plot of land, and we haven't heard back from them at the moment. We haven't heard back about our offer, so we'll see how that goes. There's something called a sham remedy, where if the goal is really to keep the cross up, which this appears to be, then it's not actually a way to remedy the state church violation. And they're talking about how they're not going to put up any fences around the plot of land, and that it's going to basically appear exactly as it appears right now. So it will still look like a state church violation, which means it will still be a state church violation. If the remedy they're proposing is not going to fix it yet. So we'll see where that goes. So FFRF gives out about $7,000 in scholarships to students every year. And the school district, like you said, they distribute information about scholarships to their students. We asked them to distribute ours, and they flat out refused because we were hostile to religion in our essay prompt. And the ironic thing is that we were actually asking students to tell about a time when they were harassed or bullied or sort of censored for being a non-believer, and that's exactly what the school district turned around and did to us. And it looks like that case is actually going to settle once the litigation council got involved. The school district's turning out pretty quickly, so I think we're going to win that one.